All right, you guys are live.
You.
Yeah, bro, just make yourself at home. This is my buddy Julian. His first time here.
Hey. What's up, Julian? Ryan, nice to meet you. That's my name. Nice to meet you guys.
Pleasure.
Oh, I wrote my VIN on these.
Oh, yeah, I knew it had something to be specific to the car.
No, but you can wipe these out.
Bro, where those stairs that you keep hitting in Calabasas?
Get off of Parkway, Calabasas, make a right, make another right, go to the dead end, and then you have to hike about 12 minutes. No, there's only one trail. They're up there. There's always like.
Is it hella intense?
I mean, it's like you get to the top and you're fucking winded. Right. We do like me and Veronica will do 3 round trips, but like I did 2 round trips down the stairs, and it's like. How's your girl, man? My girl that I brought there was like, right. That's a fucking wrap. Your legs are just like going down, even on like the second down. My legs are just like.
Yeah, it's intense.
But you do it enough, like it's just because it's like stairs is like such specific muscle.
Right.
So you do it like if I did it like once or twice in a week, I'd be able to.
Yeah. The stairs in Calabasas, they're gnarly. Just gnarly.
You see people posting all the time.
Right.
I'm like, okay.
It's a lot of stairs. I gotta count. I don't know why I've never counted.
You're both doing that for you.
Have you seen this DMV thing around here somewhere?
Yeah, but put it away. We're getting the Clark's mod. We don't have to do that till.
Yeah, let's give that to Woody.
Right.
Okay, great.
Let my problems be my problems.
Well, I just didn't know.
Well, fucking this guy. Remember I just told you about that shit? Why are you making his life stressful?
You know it.
Jesus.
He really said we gotta get the band spot.
So what'd you say?
So we got it.
There you go.
Yeah,
Don't make that man's life hard, bro. Bring me
Gotta
problems.
make it easy. Gotta make it easy.
Said I know.
Help me help you, bro. Because that's just gonna trickle down to you. You're the punching bag. Like,
I know it's right.
hey.
Hello.
Good point.
I thought I was gonna have to fly to Vegas tomorrow for a shoot. I was finally got some.
Are you? I'm gonna sit over here.
Like super high.
I fall asleep in that couch.
I followed you.
So in my head,
Oh, you crazy? Yeah. It's like, oh shit. Hi, Billy.
Hey, Ray, can I send your ear for like a minute?
Are you back working with Brian every day?
How's it been?
Good, dude. How are you?
Chilling.
Everything going smooth here?
It's so crazy how it's like.
Like butter.
Like butter.
Like butter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got worried for a second, dude. I walked in and I saw everybody was talking to Homeboy, and I was like, I hope that Sermon on the Mount isn't canceled right now. I'm just like showing up in the middle of Jordan's meeting, like, okay. It's on.
You're here for the first like in the garage.
In the garage, dude,
Yeah.
yeah. I feel like I've been here for all of them. Dude. There have been many missed.
It's just like every time you come.
It's every time I come on.
Yeah.
That's how I feel. I'm like, dude,
It only happens when you come. Too.
It does, huh? It's nuts, dude. Like I get a call in, bro. Like how weird is that? I was showing it home and I was like, I should get a Sermon on the Mount tonight. I feel like this is the second one I've attended and like the first one where I haven't like had.
But you
to
notice
rush
how
out.
quick it did once you got here?
Dude, what? I was like, dude, don't tell me that. Now I feel bad. I feel like Jordan needs it. You know? He needs that shit, dude.
The hair looks good.
Thanks, bro. It's finally starting to grow back out.
Yeah, you like
In the roots. You gotta drive Veronica up here, dude, and have her dye hair, dude.
I do brush your hair.
Oh, yeah, you do it yourself, huh?
Yeah. I fucked that up.
Dude, I would fry the shit out of my head, dude. Just fry that shit.
If you want to, what if you could handle?
Bring your own purity. Bring
Vic.
your own water. Yeah. As a group, we have a first aid kit, right?
What?
Yeah, right.
It was up to me or and she got like supervised.
Yeah. And then like just being aware of like the
I just followed that chick earlier on Instagram because I saw that we posted it by the pool, and then I walked in. I figured like She was just a model chick that they like brought
Yeah,
in, and then I walked in like, oh fuck.
Yeah.
I legit just followed you. But like, I follow everybody that passes social media.
Yeah. It's not out. It's not out.
What?
It's not. It's in the lane.
Yeah,
It's not
I
out of
follow
the way.
everybody that passes. I just made it weird. I was like, oh, I followed you right away. I did. Oh, okay, you're weird. You're weird.
I gotta go.
Yeah. It was friendly. Yeah.
I know.
Yo, so I'm in a big black truck. Everybody behind me, he's pull out because I'm leaving. Anybody behind the black truck?
The GMC.
Sorry to do it to you. Oh.
Yeah, for sure.
Go on. We're just, you know.
So when we go on hikes, we should put like a first aid kit together.
We got first aid kits.
Sadly, bring it with you.
All right.
And then like the number one concern out there is rattlesnake bites.
Yeah.
Right? So like
Gnarly.
Right.
Yeah. Does it happen often?
Oh yeah.
There's rattlers in California.
No, here in these hills. So like don't be surprised like when you see a rattlesnake crawling across the patio. Because this is like
Segura.
Right.
It used to be underwater. There's
right.
calcium on that hill.
What's up?
Right? Did you feel the energy though?
Can't you?
Keep it in your heart.
Fuck.
Yeah.
You can feel the energy here, bro.
Yeah. It radiates. We got a book.
Our relationship is good.
So Woody is from the middle. Where are you from?
He knows. His home
From the same area.
I was joking with him. What is that? Kentucky, right?
Yeah.
Like I couldn't point to Kentucky on a map. Like if you give me a blank map of the United States and we're like $1,000 if you can land on Kentucky.
That'd be pretty hard.
It would. But what if
For me, I would.
what if Coach Calipari's face was on it?
Oh,
That would help.
That would help.
Yeah.
I mean, go Cats, man.
Go Cats.
How's your first Monday?
It was great, man.
Nice.
I loved it.
Sue. No, but we were driving
I already know
today.
everybody
We were in
so
the
well.
van, and I told them, they were like, "Look at this view." I was like, "You know, it used to be underwater."
Right,
Right?
just put on the game, bro.
I got you.
I know you do. Woody's my go-to.
Just don't push me down the hill, bro.
I'd have to.
I know.
I
Yeah.
told him today, like if it came down to him and Danielle, like I would have to push him down the hill for her. But like in her case, I have to go get her down the hill.
Yeah, or like if he saw her push me down the hill, he didn't see shit. If I pushed her, he'd go get it.
I have to, bro. That's Danielle.
I feel it.
Now Sarah with the E, on the other hand, if you push her down the hill, I would just keep walking.
Yeah.
Delete the tape. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't recall.
No face. Yep.
You posted TikTok today with me?
No, I haven't posted in a while.
About a week ago. The computer one was pretty funny.
Which? Oh, yeah.
The girl slide into your DMs after Danielle's?
No.
Okay.
Probably after the first one she posted. The fire emoji.
Right.
They're like,
I'm sitting here.
they're like, we don't fuck with him.
That's fucked up.
Yeah, they're like, we thought so. Nah,
Right.
that's not fun.
Gang, gang.
Gang, gang.
Gang, gang, gang.
Am I allowed to sit
No.
on the couch? No.
Not fucking this call, man. It's your-
Fine.
It's their call. It's their call. You
Put
put that on couch?
Put that on me, man.
No, I have to. They said that you can.
Yeah, how you can sit wherever.
Hey, can I rely on our team to?
I thought you were gonna sit by me.
I am.
Billy's mom's good buddy Julian
Something that I don't.
You got that purpose wish.
Yeah.
It feels like my
I
only
carry it
sober
with
friend
me all
for-
night. Because it's my job.
Sober, like 12 steps sober, or
It's with my job.
just not?
I don't even know what the classification is.
Not a-
I just
Nice to meet you.
I did stop drinking.
You were
I was
like a-
drinking and then I stopped.
Yeah, I have been going like this with everybody I've met.
Billy.
So every time someone
It's
puts their
like
hand on my
friendly.
face, it smells like tequila. And
Is he still open?
You want to work tomorrow?
Go for it, man.
Yes.
Hey, buddy, how you doing?
Join.
Johnny, nice to meet you.
Were you here last week with the hat?
No, no, no.
Fist bump.
There you go.
How you doing?
I almost missed you.
What do you mean?
Just that.
You almost missed me?
How you doing?
Like, you saw me earlier though.
You got a video account.
Mr. Cashmere.
What's up, buddy?
Is that casual?
Mr. Cash Cash. Big Cash.
This man's such a tone. I gotta come in looking fresh. Woody, I gotta keep up.
Ever since
He's
that.
transcended with his fashion.
That's his other hoodie.
We get out of reflections of it.
I need another one.
That's what Vinny wasn't learning to use hoodies.
Nah, he's too cool for that.
No, I'm not. I don't have a learning disability.
See if I can't get a link.
I think you're too close to
He's
the
wrong
road.
right now.
Fuck no, bro.
Or do you rock that because Jason was here today?
I'll run.
That's what it was. 30 points or get that free haircut. I
That's
see
my
you.
boy.
Yeah.
He walks in, Cody's like, whoa, 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 whoa.
I'm doing
If you got more, dude. So where'd you get that shirt? We're good.
I would get pointer strikes for writing.
I think probably Paul's gonna be there. Yeah. Sam or Paul or one of our guests.
Can I hit you?
But I should moderate.
I thought Billy did that.
No, or TikTok.
Oh. Yeah.
For the
I'm digging your pants.
Bro,
The coral.
in shorts, bro.
I didn't see the bottom parts, okay?
I'm
sitting here
I'm not from California, I'm from Florida.
That's pretty.
Yeah.
From the Battle
It
Belt.
was either you or Paul or one of our guests. So it's three of them.
Now it's,
Yeah.
I like your mask.
Sit by us. Sit by us.
This reminds me of working at Ridge. Like when I was editing for Pat and
Yeah, hey.
and I would just
I'm gonna do
But the funny thing is that when you're like when you're super high in your editing,
Sleeping all right? You doing it?
Right.
except for that. But also
We're still coming out.
anything beyond that, I was shit. So they'd be like, go mail this. Pat and Tommy was like 2 weeks and they just did like a crash course. I like to go in
it's in there today.
and then absorb all of their knowledge and then become them and then take over their bodies and then they're just a shell of them.
I used to charge for
It's
that.
game changer.
It won't be long before
right now,
you know I'm
It's a weird thing.
I mean, that's a lot. Dude. That shit happens to me though too. Like I wake up like just be.
I should get a book.
Close to my mind starts going. Yeah. Especially when, like, especially when there's a girl involved.
You dropping new videos lately on YouTube?
On YouTube? For Veronica, I gave her one today. I don't know if she's posted it. It's a good one.
Is there what's about?
She went to Maria to get her nails done, so it's about like Japanese nail art, all the shit that they talked about, and then Sharon Stone,
I'm in the habit of
and
not
parents.
I shake your hand.
I think it's really
What's up, Sam? How's
Yeah,
your
right now it's just.
It's a good one.
It's good, dude.
As long as it's
How are you? How's your
I mean,
day?
like, I'm not always like, this slaps, but I would watch it
Oh, yeah. Last week.
I
You should keep it in the aftermath, right?
I say
Do you still have your bike?
I don't want to put it in the house.
Yeah, let's get out there.
Where did it go?
I thought we weren't gonna be able to get sugar on life,
I get up and get accident.
but like there's never a dull moment here, so what was that?
You know, I get like switch them out and stuff today, but I have my bike
Find
too, so.
anything that I want to wear today.
It was just like fight through it. I actually have no idea.
I mean, for my
I know the road bike, but I got an e-bike. So
I could have getting hot sauce on it, you know.
I'm done to do like 10
Yeah, someone said it.
It's not a problem for me, but I got that e-assist. Yeah. You made my question.
Meeting time. Of course, Tim's gonna be late.
Tim's coming?
That was Tim.
Was it?
He's here.
All right, so meeting time. My name is Billy. I'm an alcoholic. We read out of this book, paragraph. We talked about the paragraph we just read.
So who's handing out? We need to order some more books.
We're on page 75, I think, the first paragraph. And we
I'm gonna order like 10 more.
The timer goes off in 2 minutes, and you have 2 minutes to wrap up. Please don't be a ball hog and like share the whole time. You know, I would appreciate it unless you're like keeping up with the streaming that you silence your phones. And try to keep your sharing to topic, but if you just need to vent, that's cool also. I mean, that's it. Do you want to recap? What's his? Paul's not here.
Yes, I am.
He is.
Oh,
Just showed up.
you weren't there like 2 seconds ago. But do you want to recap on what, or do you?
Well, we were talking about
Eye for an
turning
eye.
the other cheek, yeah. And the last thing we're talking about is not trying to get revenge, not
Right.
taking revenge. We're talking about structure and discipline.
Well, I think we can just.
I'm
jump
still
right
kind of
into
winded
it.
from walking up the
But
hill.
not taking revenge.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Does anybody remember
Yeah.
why we shouldn't take revenge? Oh, because we see ourselves as these mythical figures that take revenge, and in these stories of the old age, we would fight, and this idea of like surrender to join the winning side is looking at things from a different perspective of like where we can be the blessing. And
I don't remember all that, but maybe you're right.
well, I'm kind of adding some stuff to it.
Paying back the dude in his own coin is like the common thing to do. But the Christian way to do things would be, or the Christ-like thing to do, is to try and love your enemies. And then he gets into right here. Well, I guess we'll just read that. But this last thing was the evolution of man, of like how we used to be barbaric, and and then now it's getting into the peaceful transition to Christ-like thinking and consciousness.
What page are we on?
Around 75.
Yeah, so basically the punishment back then is if you put someone's eye out, you get your eye put out. If you kill someone's kids, you get your kids killed. Basically, it's like an eye for an eye. It was the old law.
And Jesus showed up into this world. These are the rules. And he was like, no, dude, you poked my eye out, but I'm not going to poke your eye out.
Poke out my left
I'm
arm.
gonna love you.
Yeah.
Just like love your enemies. That's the crazy thing.
Yeah. So whether he was real or not, that symbol, the archetype of him on the cross while people are throwing stones at his face and he's bleeding and he's going, oh, forgive them, they know not what they do. Like that's an archetype for like how we should live our life.
Exactly.
So I don't give a shit if this shit's real or not, because those are principles I want to live my life by.
Well, Johnny, if you sit on my left every time, you're going to start every time.
Oh, really? You want to start?
Well, why don't we start where we left
Meditation? Can we
off? Oh, because
meditate?
it's different.
Oh, yeah. Where's Danielle's our timer? She's not here.
She's at Bible study.
Can you time?
I don't have a phone.
Oh,
I could count in my head.
Wickham, let's get her the house phone.
use my phone.
Or Sam
I mean,
just
do you
offered
mind?
to time.
I don't mind.
She can use
There you go.
You got it?
I don't know if we want Rudy to have a phone. That could be dangerous.
Very.
No, I'm just joking.
No, you're not.
You have one all day, so
So who's timing?
Rudy.
Mm-hmm. So 4 minutes, correct?
Yeah. And the last 10 minutes of the meeting is kind of a free for all. During the middle, we try to see if anyone online has a question or a comment or anything.
Spiritual chaos.
Okay, ready whenever you guys are.
Okay.
I like that.
I like that.
Yeah.
He gets an alarm.
Right.
I was thinking that.
Peaceful wake up.
Wow.
So we start here.
Well, so since we all like tend to take the same seats every time, why don't I just start with Caleb? Can you start us off reading on page 75, first paragraph? So
Yeah, I
it's
got
not
you.
always the same person starting.
This is precisely the deadly fallacy that lies at the root of all the strife, public and private in the world. It is the direct cause of international wars, of family feuds, and personal quarrels. And as we shall learn in the study of scientific Christianity, it is the cause of much, if not most, of our ill health and our difficulties. Now, Jesus reverses this and says that when someone injures you, instead of seeking to get your own back or to repay him in his own coin, you're to do the very opposite. You're to forgive him and set him free, no matter what the provocation may be, and no matter how many times it is repeated. You are to do this. You are to lose him and let him go, for thus only can you be freed yourself. Thus only can you possess your own soul. To return evil for evil, to answer violence with violence and hate with hate, is to start a vicious cycle to which there is no ending, but the wearing out of your own life and your brother's too.
Let's say on that one.
I'm Danny. I'm going to pass right now.
Anybody?
I'm Johnny. I'm an alcoholic and new to Christianity. This part here, you are to loose him and let him go, for thus only can you be freed yourself. Thus only can you possess your own soul. To return evil for evil, to answer violence with violence and hate with hate, is to start a vicious circle to which there is no ending. That trips me out, man, because if you think about what Christianity means, like to be Christian, not so much like in today's modern, what you can get Christian, the prosperity Christians, but back then, first century, it was to follow Christ, to be humble, to be almost like a Buddhist, like almost like denying the world, denying possessions, to be wronged in the physical, right? If we get into like Christ-like consciousness, there is no Johnny. You know what I'm saying? This is just an illusion. Like I speak English because I was born in America. I get offended because my ego is offended. But if I'm really like a Christian, then I'm really turning the other cheek, then like you can stop that cycle. And when he talks about possessing your own soul, like being soul-centered or physically centered, I mean, that's a trip. And it's a radical shift in the paradigm from ancient Levitical law where it was like barbaric. You know, you could sell your daughters for land. You know what I'm saying? Like literally, the Levitical law was crazy. So that's all I have to say.
Thanks, Johnny. Thanks, Johnny.
Thanks, Johnny.
Paul, alcoholic.
Paul.
The same line I was looking at. This is pretty hardcore. You are to lose him. Where is it at?
What?
You're to lose him
And let him go.
and let him go. That goes back to the beginning of this chapter where it says, like it says in the Bible verse, if the right eye offend thee, pluck it out and cast it from thee. And it says if the right hand offend thee, cut it off. It is profitable for thee that one of thy members shall perish, and not thy whole body be cast into hell. It says here the soul's integrity is the one and only thing that matter. And down further in the paragraph, this is page 65, the beginning of this chapter. It says anything that stands in the way of that must be given up. So it's deeper than just forgiving. Like, I'll forgive you, but that's it. I've cut plenty of people off since I've been sober and studying this book. If it offends me, I gotta let it go because I could get a resentment over that. And with us, I mean, in the program, a resentment can get me loaded. So I've cut plenty of people off for offending me. Because I mean, I'll forgive you, but I'm not gonna go back to the same hell more than maybe 3 times. You know, I'll let somebody go. I'll let them go fuck with somebody else and bother them. My soul's integrity matters to me more than to go back and try to be friends with somebody that I know is gonna fuck me over. I'll lose them and let them go. Seriously, I'm not gonna stay in a toxic relationship with somebody just because I'm turning the other cheek. That's pretty much what I get out of that there. Not to be a dick or anything, but I gotta protect the integrity of my soul. That's what it says in this book. That's 2.
You got 2 more.
Oh, that's all I got for that one. Thank you.
Sam, alcoholic.
Sam.
So as we don't keep reading the same sentence, I'm going to move to the next one, but it basically says the same thing in reverse. To return evil for evil, to answer violence with violence, and hate with hate, is the start of a vicious circle to which there is no ending, but the wearing out of your own life and your brother's too. So the point of, like I spent years thinking, I remember I was saying this to a sponsee last night, like I said to a therapist years ago, like if I hook, they get away with it. And it's like, no, you just get freed from the need or the responsibility of carrying out the sentence every day. Like no one's getting away with anything, but you're playing the universal role of having to like punish everybody for this thing. And the truth is, as it says, all you do is wear your own life out. Like no one I've ever resented has ever, as a result of all my indignation and rage and whatever else, come to me and been like, I get it now. I see. Sorry. They don't care. All it does is keep me completely imprisoned by the state of self-righteous indignation. And it's a very poisonous, toxic place to be, in which I can be of no use to anyone. I become beset by all the bedevilments. Without a drink, I can die an alcoholic death by just staying in this place of, believing I've been wrong. And by letting people off the hook, it's not about being walked on. It's about I get free. I get to stop living in that space of poisonous discomfort and waiting for the world to wake up and realize I'm right, which it never will. That's it.
Thanks, Sam.
Thanks, Sam.
Yeah, I'm told I'm an alcoholic. Like when I read this, like what I'm thinking is that like Jesus is telling us like to not harbor resentments, and that to not be offended by people, like no matter what people do to us, like see where they're coming from, and not to like take our own personal view when people are doing things that offend us, and not take offense, and see like where they're coming at, like what hurt is, like what's hurting them, and just to love them, and love them where they're at, instead of being so selfish and like worrying about how they're hurting us. Like like we just are like a shield. We just like reflect everything because we've got love in our heart for ourselves and our fellow man, and we can love whoever like tries to offend us or try to create resentment within us. And so like that's just what's been speaking to me. So that's all I got.
Thanks,
Hey guys, I'm Julian.
Julian.
It's really interesting that I come here randomly. It's my first time, and this is the first thing that opens up. There's a book, I read only a chapter of it. It's called The Book of Forgiveness, The Book of Joy by Desmond Tutu and the Dalai Lama, and it talks about forgiveness. And what's interesting to me is that I've been looking through defining forgiveness, and it's the very thing of giving up revenge. I'm sorry, what was your name? Paul. To Paul's point, if you don't want someone in your life because it's not a good fit, you can turn them away. But talking to someone, like for me, my mother was a meth addict for 30 years. And so for me, I'd like to continue the relationship with my mom, right? And I have thought I forgave her, but when I look down specifically like at what I was doing in my behaviors, the revenge is subtle, and revenge can be subtle. Very, very subtle. So like, it's not like I don't yell at her anymore. I don't like get mad at her anymore. But what I do is I starve her of my happiness. And it's really interesting because I only recently picked it up, how subtle the revenge is. So I just pass that out for you guys to just look at, like, I used to have a very toxic relationship with her. It's not like that anymore. But there's still some subtleties in what I do day to day with her, and it's crazy. So just something to think about. Where are the subtleties in the revenge?
So to piggyback off of what both of you are saying, when you go to make amends, I think I discussed this with Danielle. You are not supposed to go physically or talk to someone or make amends if it's going to cause harm to them or yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And that's an act of mercy and forgiveness as well. Being able to distinguish the difference between wanting to make an amends for yourself or wanting to make an amends for that other person who actually needs it. If you're able to release the idea that you talking to them will make a difference in any significant way, that could be a good thing for both of you. That's it.
Wait, I'm unclear.
What do you not understand?
Can you just say that real quick again? What?
You're not supposed to make amends if it hurts you or another person. And if you're able to let go of the idea of trying to communicate or talk to somebody if you know it's going to hurt them, that's an act of forgiveness as well for yourself without having to like intrude upon their life. Is it?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay. Anyone else?
Tim. I think the only thing to say about forgiveness is at 37 years old, I've never once regretted forgiving somebody, ever. And that's it. I think it's just good to know.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Tim.
Billy Alcoholic.
Billy.
So this is kind of tripping me out because I've got some deep resentments. I guess I still do, but you know, it says in the big book it's the number one offender, and if you don't free yourself, I don't know how it's worded exactly, but you will drink again if you hold on to resentment. Number one offender. And I like how you said subtle, because I have resentments with people who are part of my life, and I couldn't just be a straight out vicious motherfucker, but I could deny them me, which I think maybe is even worse. They say one of the worst punishments is like confinement, or you know, like they put you in solitary confinement when you're bad in jail and such, and that's what I do to people that I live with. What was my point? So my point was that the resentment really just poisons me, and it kind of steals my life, because I'm in pain in my head thinking about the other person. And there's this saying that if you I don't know how it goes exactly, but if you have a resentment, you have a cosmic connection to that person, and so they're actually still fucking with you because of this chain. And if you're their jailer, there's a prisoner and a jailer. It takes two, right? So to break the chain is freeing, but not at all easy. Because you know, you think maybe you're good one day, and you're like, wow, I feel like this relief. I no longer want to kill this person or torture them, and then the next day something comes up and I'm reliving it in my head again. You know, especially if they've really hurt you. But it's so important, and it's so deep, because it says here you lose your soul and you kind of just wear out your life in hell, basically, for me. But there is the opportunity to be free. It's the hardest thing, and almost like, how do you even do that? And my experience is you just keep trying, and you keep doing the steps, and you keep talking about it. And my relationship with a higher power, I mean, at this point, it's really a dependence. And, you know, I've been fucked pretty bad. And so what? So what? You know, it's just life. You know. And you say, why me? Well, why not you? You know. Anyway, that's it. Thanks.
How do you get rid of that resentment, Billy? Sorry, I don't know the format, but you're saying you're stuck with that person, but I'm just like,
hold on, Billy, come on,
What?
get some balls.
Well, he couldn't see that the hand was up behind him, so I'm giving him a.
Oh.
You're saying I don't have any balls?
No, I'm sorry. No, I want you to run this and like be.
Yeah. I don't think
he actually has a kid.
I didn't actually go through all the rules this time, but we're supposed to raise our hands and get called on before.
But that's a good question. Can we ask questions?
Sure.
So we'll go back there and then we'll answer them.
But now, what was the question, Tim?
I'm saying, how do you get rid of that? You know, you're saying I got resentments, and you're giving the whole reason to not have them, but how do you get rid of it?
Yeah, that's a good question.
I told you guys.
Well, this guy was.
I could answer
Debbie
for you.
was first. So.
So hi, I'm Louie.
Louie.
Wow,
Louie. Dude, he just had to write 10,000 words on why that name hurts him so much. Talk about what words do, man.
You want us to call him by a different name.
Fuck yeah,
just
dude.
attached to it.
It just like made my whole fucking day.
Me too, bro.
I got like goosebumps, bro.
I was doing step work with my sponsor yesterday, and like I had such a bad resentment with my mother, and then it just he made me do like 10 reasons why I don't want to be her, and then say it in a compassionate way. And ever since then, I just feel like I just realized that she's just an alcoholic, just like I am, and I can't hate a fellow alcoholic. So I've been happy ever since, you know. So that's it.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Who was were you next?
Yeah.
Okay.
That fourth note, answering Tim, this tripped me out too. They're like just saying it, that ethereal, like, yeah, let's forgive everybody. I mean, it's all fun and games until you actually have to do the action of forgiving them. And the action is this fourth column. So like, let's say a girlfriend cheats on me. Have I ever cheated? It doesn't have to be like on her. It's like, I ask myself my part, like, have I ever cheated on her? Have I ever cheated on somebody else? If somebody steals from me, have I ever stolen? You know, when I can see that I've done the same thing that I'm resenting my brother for or the person for, it allows me to look at myself. And then once I can forgive myself, I can no longer hate or envy or hold the grudge towards anybody else, because I'm not hating or envying or holding a grudge towards myself. You know, Pat and I had resentment with each other last summer, and it was over insanity. You know, now he's like one of my best friends. He's like saving my life. You know, and it wasn't until I had the sponsor now, this little black man, is telling me, look, man, you got, so like I'll write like the person's name and then what happened, what it affects, and then my part. And once I get to my part, then I can see that they're no different than me. And it, just like anybody, whatever it is, like they're no different than me, unless it's like a murder or something, because I've never murdered anybody. So, I mean, that's the action. And then the other action is just letting it go. Every day, the daily reprieve. You know, it comes up again, let it go.
I think, did you have your hand up?
Well,
and then Sam, sorry.
It's gonna be like a broken record because I've read this in a couple of meetings where it tells you from the big book how to master resentment. It tells you exactly what to do. That's assuming you live a spiritual life and you're doing this work. I know Tim doesn't isn't in the program or anything. But
Now he is.
you are?
Now he is.
You got sober?
Says who?
See, says who? I don't know. I can't speak for him.
You're here, aren't you?
What's that?
You're here.
Yeah.
No, but I'll find it right now.
So this is going to tell us what to do?
Yeah. It says, we began to see that the world and its people really, this is Big Book, page 66. We began to see that the world and its people really dominated us. In that state, The wrongdoing of others, fancied or real, had the power to actually kill. I think you were mentioning that, what it says in the big book about resentment. How could we escape? We saw that these resentments must be mastered, but how? We could not wish them away any more than alcohol. This was our course. We realized that the people who wronged us were perhaps spiritually sick, though we did not like their symptoms and the way they disturbed us. They, like ourselves, were sick too. So first, you see them as a sick person. This person's sick. Then you pray, and you pray for yourself, actually. We ask God to help us show them the same tolerance, pity, and patience that we would cheerfully grant a sick friend. When the person offended, we said to ourselves, putting it back on yourself, you're asking God to help you. This is a sick man. How can I be helpful to him? God, save me from being angry. Thy will be done. And it says we avoid retaliation or argument. We wouldn't treat sick people that way. If we do, we destroy our chance of being helpful. We cannot be helpful to all people, but at least God will show us how to take a kindly and tolerant view of each and every one. So that's how you master resentment. You pray for yourself. If you trust a higher power, because this is in step 4. That's it.
Thanks, Paul.
Yeah, man.
What was I going to say? The thing is, I just wanted to sort of speak to something that was said a moment ago about how, like, I just look at how I've done the same things as the other person, and like, I haven't always. Like, we don't always have a part. We don't always have that way of saying, I've done the same thing to other people. And so I used to do a 10-step format that involved a list of questions. And one of the questions was, is this resentment my fault? And it's a quick reminder that the situation, I may have nothing to do with the situation. I might have nothing to do with the cause of the resentment. But the resentment is always my fault. And it reminds me that the resentment is a choice. And the choice I'm making is to be unhappy and place responsibility for my unhappiness on someone else's shoulders. That's it. That's a choice. And the great news about that is it doesn't require them to feel bad or forgive me or me. It's nothing to do with that. I'm choosing to be unhappy and I'm making it their fault. And that begins and ends with me. Great news, because I can't change anyone else. But I can change me and I can change the choices I make about how I operate in the world. But it starts with, I think that, like, yes, praying for people who, seeing people as sick is a great goal. But, like, if it's the start point, it's a high bar. Like, when I came in and people would say to me, parents did the best they could with the tools they had. I'm like, fuck you, they should have done better. Because I was, again, we were having this conversation last night, but I always said to myself, if I had their tools, I'd do better. But it's like, using a poker analogy, it's like you're holding 2 kings and they've got a 2 and a 5. And you're saying if you were holding a 2 and a 5, you'd be playing a better game because you've got 2 kings. They're holding a 2 and a 5. They haven't got better cards. They can't win the hand. There's nothing they can do with those cards. And I'm sitting here with my pair of kings going, should have done better. It's just a route to keep me in that place because my alcoholism wants me miserable and alone until dead. And it will keep me in that place if it can. And the reason the resentment is a number 1 offender is because it's the easiest way for my alcoholism to fuck me out of joy every second till I fall in a box. And the last thing I'll hear it say is, could have just enjoyed it. Wow. And that'll be the end of it.
Thanks, Sam. I'm Pat. I'm an alcoholic.
Hey, Pat.
It always has something to do with me. I think that's kind of one of the common threads that we're talking about here. Like if this Jesus figure I like to preface when I talk about Jesus, I like to preface it by saying like whether or not he was real, it's kind of irrelevant to me because like would he be resentful?
No.
Ever like at anyone for any reason? No, he wouldn't. Why? Because he had like the most insane level of self-love and confidence, and he was God's son. So like if I'm resenting someone, it's just like I'm just not like I'm questioning myself. I'm just thinking about like what we're doing and like how much time and energy and like money I've invested into being able to have like there's like literally like a couple hundred people participating in this meeting right now. And like people, there's a lot of things happening online where we're selling cool clothes and we're talking about what's hip and there's like culture, you know, like there's a lot of things happening. I don't really know. I'm really proud of like what we're doing. I'm really proud of this message and like try to help people, but there's just so much fucking judgment and people say the most hurtful things to me about me. I mean, like attacking like my wife and my life and really personal, you know, you're some selfish, narcissistic person exploiting addict. Like just really, I know, but like when I know when I know I'm doing the right thing, which sometimes is hard. It's hard to know sometimes because like there's this whole anonymity thing and like it's a fragile, delicate thing. And I respect that. But I know in my heart of hearts that this world needs this message and there are people that don't have access to it. So I'm going to do my part. But if I'm confident in that and I know like my intentions are pure in my heart, then it doesn't matter what anyone says. But it's when I'm feeling the insecure and if I have drama or trouble happening in my life that's like bringing fear in and I'm like in a place of like fear and like insecurity, and someone will say some shit to me and I'll just be like, this motherfucker, dude. Like they don't understand what I'm doing and how could they possibly like try to hurt me? They are hurting me. And now my whole day's fucked up and I'm questioning everything I'm doing. And it's like only because I'm not like my heart isn't full of like love and like inspiration. And so it always has something to do with me. And I think to forgive is like, like it's just to have empathy really. And the only way to have empathy is if you've been in that, one of the ways is if you've been in their shoes. But like Sam was saying, I've never really done that. Like just hated on someone I don't know.
Right.
It's one thing that is the cause of a lot of my resentments. Just the hate, just the random judgment and hate from people. So I just think like, what would Jesus do? And it's like, just try to bring love where there's hate. It's like that St. Francis prayer. Try to bring light where there's darkness, and that's what we're trying to do.
Did this just happen right now? Somebody did that to you?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's just happened. I mean, we're in a sober living, live streaming our meeting,
right,
to 200 people across the world. There are people in fucking Finland and in Australia and in Germany. All people need this message.
Right.
So I feel so good about spreading it and having so many rad people with experience and strength and hope who can help us bring validity to what we're talking about, you know? Like maybe they don't want to believe me, but then like Paul starts talking and they're like, okay, cool, I fuck with what this dude's saying, you know? So he goes for the throat.
No, which happens. I see the comments.
So I guess it always has something to do with me, is what I think the common theme is. And there's this saying that Emmett Fox has, that he wrote this book, or he's the one who translated the book. I'm just waiting for you to do your little alarm.
Tell us stopped, my amor. You said he's on a roll, and I said, but
Oh
Pat
shit! I'm getting a
wants-
special treatment right now.
I was like, Pat wants to
No,
be
so
mine.
so real quick, he said he said I'm just gonna wrap it up with this quote where he said you could be the most powerful man in the world if only you could love enough. And it's pretty crazy.
Beep beep.
You can do like they do in the meetings. When there's 2 minutes, you go like
I'm gonna
this.
share.
No
real
one
quick,
notices that.
because it's
Okay.
going out the other ear. And you said something, Sam, that really kind of clicked in my head. Is like, it's not empathy, it's not love, it's understanding of the truth. I think, and the truth is, for one, truth is one of the aspects of God. There's 7 of them. Truth is one of them.
I want to hear all
And-
7.
What?
Sorry, I want to hear all 7.
But and responsibility, because I really jive on responsibility, because if it's you and it's on you, you have responsibility. If you have responsibility, you can fix it. If it's someone else's fault, there's no fixing anything. And that's like one of the things I blame my parents for fucking ever. Got me nowhere. Finally, when I started to take responsibility, things started to change. And I found that I was avoiding responsibility way into like my 40s or whatever. Like I did not want any part of that. Turns out that's what makes life worth living. I found out, having a kid and a business and even showing up here every Monday and this and that. But it's the truth. The truth will set you free. And what I mean by the truth is I think Jesus knew the truth. Like he understood the truths to some great level. I don't know. When you guys were talking, it just clicked in my head. I'm like, wow. Because the truth is, resentment will kill you and steal your life, and you'll die in a hole. And it's so easy to get a resentment. This asshole just cut me off in his Ferrari. I could resent him for like a month and relive that shit, right? Because I already hate rich people, right? So now it just adds to my pre-existing resentment because they had it better and fuck them, right? But it's just, I think it's really important to see this because resentment can rob you of your life. And it does. It does me. And it has. So I'm glad we're talking about it. That's it. Who had their hand up next? I don't know. There was like 3 hands. It was Rudy, Paul.
No, I was telling her she could, at 2 minutes, she could just put a 2 up like we do in the meetings.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And
People don't notice that.
No, that's good. Just do this. We'll all notice it.
Okay.
Because I start tripping. I'm like, how long has he been talking? And then if I don't see anything, has it been 2? Has it been 5? I don't know.
I don't have a timer.
Oh.
I just go.
Just give him 1 minute.
Can I say
So
something
who had
for
their
Pat?
hand- who had their hand up
He
first?
does.
I'll just
Okay.
hey Pat, this is for you. I did I part of Toastmasters and we do inspiration and one of our quotes that we did a few weeks ago was a man who has made no enemies is probably not a very good man. So something to think about.
Who said
Yeah,
that?
but Margaret Thatcher.
Yeah. A man who has made no enemies is probably not a very good man.
So when you do good, people will come and attack. That's what the devil does, right?
So Takashi must be a saint.
Yeah.
Damn.
Straight up.
Probably not.
Just something to think about, you know what I mean? Like,
no, for
we're,
sure.
We're always going to have haters.
That quote didn't say having enemies makes you a good man.
That's right.
All right, Sam.
Just regarding these online haters, 2 things. One is that nothing anyone ever says to you about you is about you. It's about that every single time. And the other thing is, I was just reminded of the fact that when my daughter was little, she would play with blocks, or we would play with blocks, and I would build these obsessively perfectionistic fucking Death Stars for her out of color-coded whatever. And as soon as I was done, she would kick it over. And I couldn't understand why until I realized, and then I was overcome with peace. And it was such an applicable life lesson. around people giving me their opinions on my creative work. And it's that she can't create, so she destroys to be a part of the process.
Wow.
Oh,
damn. It's just
That's
like,
great.
that's what
Next
they're
level.
doing.
And
dude.
But like, it's just about wanting to have a voice in the conversation. And you said it right. Why do these fuckers? They don't understand what I'm doing. That right there is the whole point.
Yeah.
They don't understand, so they have to give you shit because they can't possibly fathom something positive because they haven't got the vocabulary for it, or they're terrified of what it would mean if they were to admit that maybe it looks like something they might want to do. So they have to shit all over it, and then it keeps them safe. I used to work for Lexus, standing in shopping malls giving out information about cars to people in a shopping mall on Tuesday afternoon. So it's a complete fucking waste of time. But they would often walk past me and go, "I don't want it anyway." That's all they would say. And again, I fell into complete peace when I realized it was easy. They don't have to wrestle with wishing they had it if they write it off from the outset. If they just shit all over it and say, "Well, it's crap anyway, I didn't want it," it doesn't matter that I can't afford it. They don't have to think about the fact that they can't afford it. If they sit there and say, "I wish, but it's out of my range," they forget that that actually opens up to the possibility. So they just shut it off. It's all fear. They're just terrified. These people who give you shit online are just terrified.
That's something I want to talk about tonight.
All
Yeah.
fear.
Possibility and limitation. Anyway, who's next?
Fuck yeah, Sam.
Sam, that
Yeah,
was
Sam,
beautiful.
thank
though,
you.
yeah.
What's this third?
Fear,
one?
touching on fear. No, this is a.
I mean, that was definitely probably
Yeah.
my favorite.
I didn't really go over the guidelines.
We all get 5 shares, and we want to encourage everyone to share.
Yes.
5 times.
We'll just.
What about we invite the guy that just showed up in the back to share?
Right there is a hand up.
Well, you can if you want to, but you don't have to quit in the middle. Go finish.
I was just gonna say that regarding Well, if he had his hand up, I didn't see it.
This is your 3.
Get it out, bro.
Don't tease me.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
So fear, man. Yeah. Oh my god. This is crazy. So I was just thinking about. Do you remember when I ate mushrooms and I sent you those crazy texts?
You remind me every day.
I know. But you know what I was really feeling was loneliness on this abandoned farm getting sober. And I think I really wanted to be like, I'm imagining these people in New Zealand or East LA or whatever, they want to be here. They want friends. They want a community. I mean, everyone's sitting there drinking themselves to death during COVID. Not only are they in fear, they're in pain. They might be on unemployment right now. They may be going through all the domestic stuff that happens. And I just remember I was alone with this little dog with like one broken leg because he would always chase tractors. And I was texting Pat like just wicked shit on mushrooms. And Pat, like, this is a guy who actually, like, the facts are in. Like, he bought me food when I was hungry. He laughed at my jokes. I mean, like, he was a good dude, but like, I was really insecure about all that, like, just everybody in his circle seemed to have like a car, a driver's license, a dope spot. And like, I was like on this bunk bed in the hood, like, why are they even inviting me over? Like, I think feeling less than and sometimes like makes people want to push away the help. Like when someone's trying to invite me into their life, it just seemed too good to be true. So I was like, he has to be Lucifer. Password 666. I'm eating mushrooms. I'm like, he's fucking the devil. It's like, dude, he's like, Pat pulled me off the fucking street, dude. To the people in hating, like this guy pulled me off the street. He Ubered me for $90 to like Uber. He bought me a plane ticket from Wisconsin, or maybe Danielle used her card to buy it, but whatever. Somehow he paid for me to come from Wisconsin to come to Awakenings to get sober. Like, I can't thank you enough, bro. And I'm not one of those to like suck the fucking guy's dick, but like, I really appreciate this meeting. Well, I mean, gratitude and action. You know what I'm saying? I'm just like really grateful to have like shares like this and to see you fly out here and abandon your life to help people and to see the growth. I mean, from Lovey to turn to Louie, like who knows what the fuck we're gonna become in 6 months. Probably only got 30 seconds left. I'm just gonna say I'm really happy to be here. Thank you all.
Thank you, bro.
Thank you, bro.
That was awesome. Good show.
Who had their hand
Somebody
up?
back brother over
Yes,
here.
please.
Carter alcoholic.
Carter.
I'm burning still, so I'll keep it short. Fear is someone that drove me to do
everything I've done in my life
Mm.
to sabotage myself and others, and the relationships I have with them. It just drove me in here, and I don't know necessarily what that fear was that caused me to do that just now, like a couple weeks ago, but I have a pretty good grasp on it. There's one sentence that kind of stuck out to me: to return evil for evil, answer violence with violence, and hate with hate. It's been a vicious cycle for me through life, and it stems back to my childhood and my parents, I think. And I've never changed my thinking about them, and I've never changed the way I really perceive them. I've always just hated them in a way. I love them, but I still resent them. So if I want to change, I'm gonna have to change my whole thought process. That's what I'm getting out of this. So, that's all you have.
Thanks, Greg.
Thanks, Bill.
Anybody who hasn't shared won't share? All right, so I didn't go over the ground rules, but if I pick on you, please just say your name if you don't want to share, so we can at least get to know you.
Ryan, not an alcoholic, but just somebody who enjoys hearing what people's experiences are and has struggled with drugs in the past. I've never had to legitimately put my resentments down on a piece of paper and walk through the process of that, but I've definitely seen the ramifications of holding on to anger and pointing my own fears at people. And it was a burden, a huge burden at a certain point in my life. And I think that, like he said, sometimes the best course of action would just be to walk away entirely from that person or thing, whatever it might be. And other times it is forgiveness and saying, I think that we can work on this. I like hearing what everybody's thoughts are on these subjects because I'm getting a lot of insight from other people's knowledge and experiences. And I'm just really thankful to be here and be part of this community.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ryan.
So sometimes I don't want to forgive everyone.
What's your
That's a
name?
hell of a burden.
What's your name?
So my name is Greg.
Greg.
So sometimes I don't want to forgive everybody, right? So like some people that do me wrong, I'd rather just not have them participate in my happiness. So like to just eliminate them tends to be easier. But then we have burdens that we carry. So like my dad was never in the picture. When I hit my mid-20s, I flew out to Miami just to forgive him because that was a burden I didn't want to carry, right? But that doesn't apply to everyone in my life. And that's so refreshing that I get to pick and choose who I forgive and who I don't want to be a part of my life. So what a refreshing read.
Thanks, Greg.
Thanks, Greg.
Tim. All right, unless there's other hands up. I can't see behind.
Nope.
This is a good one for me just because this is one place where I don't resent people. And I just want to share that I think the way that I've managed to circulate that is just I always just think about if I was that person born by those parents in that environment and saw what they saw, I'd be doing the same stupid thing that they're doing or whatever it is. And so I just can't help but like feel for them. I just know that like I just happen to go, it's like it's always a weird thing with like the free will thing, but I won't get into that. But it's just like I would have been them if I was them. And I just by chance I'm on this side. So like fucking let it go and just understand.
Right.
That's how I deal with it.
Yeah. Thanks, Tim.
I'm having a hard time believing that one. But thank you.
Dang.
I'll ask him. I'll dive in. What do you mean you have a hard time?
It's not about attacking or like a one-on-one discussion, but I'd love to talk to you later about that.
Right.
Anyone else? You don't resent me for saying that?
No.
What's going on?
Anyone want to? How about you?
No, I wasn't. That's not resenting you for saying it. I was like, I love that you said it, which is why it's like, let's go. No, let's go outside. Let's fucking get after it.
Let's battle.
To the lead.
I'm Sarah, and I'm an addict.
Hey, Sarah.
It's funny you say that because I actually relate to that a lot recently, where like I'm having a really hard time setting my boundaries for myself and like seeing what's healthy for me, what's not healthy for me, because I'm always in that mindset. I'm always putting myself in their shoes. I'm always being like, oh, if I were under those circumstances, I'd do the same shit. I'd do the same thing. And like then I just forgive them, and they did me harm. So now I'm like conflicted because it's like, do I set the boundary or do I just always forgive because I do understand? But like part of me doesn't want to understand just so I can set the boundary and be like, that's not it for me. But like I just accept everything because I'm like, I get it. I do the same thing. But it's like that doesn't make it okay. That's my issue. Is like I feel like I'm making it okay, but it's not okay. So I don't know. That's what I'm struggling with recently.
Thanks, Sarah.
Thanks, Sarah.
Daniel, Addy.
Hey,
Daniel.
Yeah. That's it.
Hell yeah. Well said.
Thanks, bro.
Couldn't have said it better.
I like that.
It's going into a script.
Sandra Cook.
Sandra.
What's up, Sandra?
I relate to a lot about what Sarah was saying about how like I don't know, I don't want to have resentment, and then like I'm like, yeah, I'm cool, I'm good, like one day, and then it'll be and just hit me and be like, but that was so fucked up what they did. But then I just go back and like putting myself in their shoes. And then it goes back to understanding. So recently it's been like a roller coaster of that feeling. And I hope I can get out of that and not feel that way. Because God, I would like to not hold resentment because it sucks. Because it does like hurt a lot.
It's a process for sure.
That's
Thanks, Sandra.
Sandra.
Jose, Addy.
Hey, Jose.
Honestly, I'm just here to listen today. I'm kind of like tired. The coffee made me crash today.
Thanks, Jose.
All right, Jose. Thanks, man.
But I do have fear though. Let me just talk.
Talk to them.
I kind of had a fear of losing my mom recently, like as in having her support me. So honestly, like it's just been killing me inside, and it's kind of hard to forgive people for what they did to me and what I've seen in life, which is kind of fucked up. But recently, like I'm starting to let go of things that I kept a grudge on people. So I don't really, how can I say this? Like I don't really have grudges, or I think I don't, but I have been noticing that I'm just letting everything fall into place. And it's like a fear that I've never, really like thought about. Like I've never really felt this way. Like, yeah, it hurts, but I don't know, maybe it's just a fear in me that I've never really felt. So yeah, it's kind of hard. But yeah, thank you. I'm kind of off today, so.
No, thanks.
Thanks, Jose.
I'm just gonna throw something out. This is probably like my fourth share, but the way I think about it is people who think they don't have resentments, they just have another outlet.
Wait, I'm stopping.
I just think they have another outlet. They're doing some other behavior that they're getting their relief from. Or maybe they're not aware that they have that. That's my opinion. It doesn't say anywhere in the book that's what's happening. I don't know. That's all.
Possible.
It's possible.
Thanks, Billy.
Thanks, Billy.
Ryan?
What just happened? Like,
Woody, you want to share?
Ryan, addict? No, not today. I'm
Ryan.
kind of in my head a little bit still. So, got a lot going on.
All right, thanks, Jordan.
Well, thanks for coming, Ryan.
Yeah, man.
Good to see you, bro.
This is first.
Jordan Alcoholic.
Jordan.
I don't like sharing, but I will because I'm trying to break that cycle.
Fuck yeah.
What I took from this and what I take from anger and resentment is that old saying, when you're angry or resentful towards someone, it's like holding onto a hot burning coal and you want to throw it at them, but in the end, you're going to end up getting burned by it.
Yeah.
That's really all I have on it.
Thanks, Jordan.
Thanks, Jordan.
Louis, my biggest so going to fear, I had the fear of abandonment for such a long time, and I'm here at the sober living, and I still want to run back to drugs. And somebody once told me that if you run, you know exactly what's going to happen, but if you stay, you don't know.
Come on.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Abby?
Abby Alcoholic.
Yeah.
Somewhere in there it was talking about how we need to forgive even if it's a repeated behavior. Yeah, I don't know. And when I have a hard time forgiving someone, I have to go back and think of how much of God's grace I've been shown and how many times I've been forgiven from the people in my life, specifically my mom and my dad, and how just I would just fuck up and no matter what, they forgave me. And I found that same forgiveness coming to into this program. And it's just seeing where my part is, and yeah, that's it.
Thanks, Abby.
Thank you.
Thanks, Abby.
Yeah, I'm Derek. I'm an alcoholic.
Derek.
It's interesting that resentments are tonight's topic because I'm going through this custody case right now with my son's mom, and it's been an ongoing resentment that I have. And I've done some work on it, but it's I'm really resentful towards her right now, and I have been for the past week, and I'm not doing anything about it. I'm not praying about it. I'm not doing any court calls like Johnny was talking about. And I'm definitely not thinking about how she's a sick person, like Paul was talking about, because she is a sick person. So it's good to have this discussion because it's reminding me that there are things that I can do about it to help me get through this resentment. And I'm going to do those now. Whereas earlier today, I was just fucking pissed off all day about it. So I'm stoked and I'm grateful that I'm here and we're having this discussion right now.
Thank you.
Thanks, Derek.
Thanks, Derek.
We have 33 minutes left, or 27 minutes left.
Oh, is there anything online that we could, any questions?
Any questions?
Thanks for checking that,
Yeah.
Greg. I see you in there, dog.
Any comments or questions that might be interesting?
Yeah. Michael Ryan Broyles asks, what's the first thing we should do when we get a resentment, and where should we go?
Anybody want to answer that?
I think I read it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go even deeper. I don't have a big book with me, so I'm gonna find it online. It's page 552.
Oh, pray for them for 2 weeks. Was that it?
Yep.
Yeah.
He got it.
Pray for them for 2 weeks.
I'll find it right now.
And when you pray for them to get everything that you would
Yeah.
want out of life.
Yeah.
So everything you want, you pray for them to get.
Yeah.
Just while you're looking for that, I'll share real quick about answering that question, but also it's just funny how I attach myself. You could literally like every single person in this room could like give it up to me, and then like Rudy could like say some mean shit, and it's the only thing that holds any weight or validity. And it just has more. It's the same thing about having. It has more to do with me. That it's like I'm just insecure, and I'm just afraid, and there's like deep shit going on. And if I'm, it's like what I said earlier. If I'm resenting anyone, it's just like I'm just not like being the blessing. I'm just not. There's something going on inside of me. Even if they didn't like do, even if like it's justified, even if like I didn't have a part in it, or it's like what Tim was saying, like if I was them, I'd be them. I don't know, but then they hurt me. Oh, but it's all about me. It's like, that's what it is. It's so resentments it's a selfish thing to resent someone. It's like, you're just making it all about you. And it's like, just like, I feel like it's so simple, but it's so hard to explain how like everything comes back down to like this self-love and this confidence thing. Self-love gives me the opportunity to like remove my ego, so I don't need that validation from everyone else, and then I can start forgiving people and praying for them. Just imagine praying for somebody who just cut me off in their Ferrari, praying that they get another Ferrari.
Right.
That's crazy. But I could actually, if I'm totally selfless, it's just something to strive towards. I hit it, I think, I have moments of it throughout the day, but it's just something to like strive for.
Yeah. Well, the first one was from the book, Praying for Yourself and seeing the person as a sick man or whatever. But if that doesn't work, it says here, page 552, if you have resentments you want to be free of, if you will pray for the person or the thing that you resent, be free. If you will ask in prayer for everything you want for yourself to be given to them, you will be free. Ask for their health, their prosperity, their happiness, and you will be free. Even when you don't really want it for them and your prayers are only words and you don't mean it, go ahead and do it anyways. Do it every day for 2 weeks and you will find you have come to mean it and to want it for them. And you will realize that where you used to feel bitterness and resentment and hatred, you now feel compassionate, understanding, and love. Yeah. You might just be tired of praying for the motherfucker.
I want to share Billy Alcoholic.
Hey, Billy.
So, you know who comes to my mind? I know how you feel about this guy too, Pat, but Perry. And he would always share about false dependencies, persons, places, and things. And where I've come in this whole thing, it's not about confidence. It's not about empathy. It's about truth and a dependence on a higher power. Not, I believe in a higher power, or I love a higher power, or it's like, I need a higher power, and I need the higher power that I have built a relationship with through this process. And without that, I'm just totally fucked. And it's kind of hard because people like trip on with this whole God thing, and they're like, it's airy-fairy, willy-nilly bullshit, but it works. And you don't. You relying on yourself does not work because we're inherently self-centered. It's always about us. And it's just such a bizarre thing because all Jesus talks about in all this is one thing, states of mind. That's it. So if you have a certain state of mind, you're not going to get a resentment. Maybe Tim has that state of mind. It just, like, I can get so pissed off at somebody. I was just thinking of Rudy because we used to live together.
I don't want to do this.
But no, she's cool. But I'm just saying, like, an innocent person that really didn't do anything can piss you off because it's about you, self-centered. And I always go to this stuff because it's my thing. It's like, limitation. We limit ourselves by our fears and our beliefs. And possibly this mind has the ability to live. You know, there's people out there that live amazing lives, right? How do they do it? How do they get so much done? Why is their life so good? I think it's because they're pushing the boundaries of limitation. They're breaking through the wall. Like in Pink Floyd, they're breaking down the wall, you know, and even Jesus says you can do more than I. He even says it. And that statement to me is like, you have the capability of being free. And freedom isn't like I'm just free, but freedom is like a bliss or an understanding of the universe and the shared energy between all of us. It's like a high better than heroin, you know, it's like the high. That's it.
This might be my fourth or whatever. I just got to say that is like, that just changed my whole energy. Like I just had a, personality change because I do have a higher power. And that is the only thing that works for me in the way, like for reals, like works. It's taken me a long time to like get that. But bro, like and I can't even put it into words. There's no words in the English language to describe the relief I just got from you talking about the one thing that works. It's this higher power that I can't explain. And it helps me remember that everything is fine, exactly as it is. And I'm right here, right now. And there's nothing else that's fucking real except for this moment. And it's like I've cultivated it. You've helped me cultivate it. Like this guy's energy is crazy. Just when he starts talking, it's like, oh, okay. Like I can just be chill like that, It's all good. Like I'm all fucking crazy, like piss and vinegar. And he's just like super chill. He's like the opposite of me. So like that's what I need to remember is I don't need to be running around like a fucking chicken with his head cut off. God's got my back. I don't know really how to describe what that is. Like love, peace. What'd you say? You said the peace that passes all understanding. That's like a crazy little way to describe it.
Yeah, because it doesn't really make sense.
I can't understand. You're not going to understand it. You just have to baby the higher power every day.
They call it in NA, it's an experience. It's not like knowledge, it's an experience.
Yeah. And I think we can get it through contrary action, through like getting out of the way, abandoning our ego, doing things we don't understand. It's like we start cultivating it. It starts growing not by me. My brain can't figure it out. My brain can't compute it. I just have to, it's like meditation. It's like this thing you can't really, it's just like, don't do anything. Don't think about anything. Get out of the way. Let it in. It's pretty high level. It's hard to understand.
What are we on time, Rudy? Is it free for all time yet?
It's 8:43.
Almost there.
Let's read another little joint.
Can I do my fourth share after this?
Yeah, why don't you read and then hit him with the share?
Okay. I'm going to go off. I just read this. Hatred ceases not with hatred, said the light of Asia. He's talking about either Buddha or the Dalai Lama, enunciating this great cosmic truth many centuries before. And the light of the world, that's Jesus, put it in the forefront of his teaching because it is the cornerstone of man's salvation. Hatred ceases not with hatred. So the only way to stop hatred is to use the opposite of hatred, which is Jesus was talking about love. The Dalai Lama was born like a rich prince, and he denounced all his money allegedly to go sit underneath the Buddha tree and basically come up with all the precepts and the fivefold path. And 600 years before Christ was the Buddha. I mean, he really existed. I believe he existed. I just don't see why anyone would create these stories of these fantastic people and then go get like fed to fucking lions. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, I'm thinking about like who's my higher power? Well, it's a trick because everyone's praying to Jesus or this idea of this genie Jesus or something like that. I just go with what Jesus said. He said, it's expedient for me to go. Because if I don't leave you, this is in the garden when And he fell on his face and sanctified himself. And right before Judas came with the people, he says, "It's expedient for me to go, because if I don't go, I can't send you the Holy Spirit. But when I go, I will not leave you orphans. I will send you the Holy Spirit, and he will live in you." He's speaking to all humanity that chooses to be Christian. He will live in you and bring to mind all things and teach you all things. So the Holy Spirit is my higher power, you know? And like, when I think about what's running me, like what's running my heartbeat, like I'm not controlling these heartbeats. I don't control my breathing. I don't control any of that. I'm just some babbling prefrontal cortex creature right now, like in this ethereal safety bubble. In reality, dude, like everything that we ever were or could be was formed in our mother's womb. Like we didn't control our eye color, who our parents were going to be, where we were going to be born, what we were going to think, what we were going to envy, what we wanted to do. All that stuff was like going to happen. And it's all just unfolding in this like big cycle, you know? And like when I get rid of the whole Johnny show, like I'm just a creature experiencing other creatures. And like they're gonna do this and they're gonna do that, but really like there's a biomechanical thing happening too. Like even just to maintain 98.6 degrees and sit here and talk, there's like photosynthesis happening. Like I ate the chicken you gave me upstairs, and now it's like turning into energy, and I'm maintaining this ecosystem. Like, but I'm not doing it. The Holy Spirit is literally like keeping me alive so that I can even talk right now. The Holy Spirit's taking control of like what could happen to my kid and what's going to happen to my mom, and like, you know, like I'm not running anything. And once I get okay with not running anything, then I can see everything. Like I can see the pain in the addict. I don't have to hate an addict if I'm sober. You know, a lot of people hated me when I was coming into AA, sharing crazy when I was drunk or on meth or whatever after my dad died in 2014. And it pushed me away because I just wanted love. But I was in so much fucking pain and awake for so long, I would come in and just rock back and forth like this little fucking broken creature. Like we all come into AA broken. Or we all come into this meeting wanting fellowship. And the beauty is when we're in recovery, when we're with the Holy Spirit, like with the business, letting him run the show or it run the show, the space between us actually connects us like molecularly. I can't see the atoms between me and Sam, but there's like a subatomic particle connection going all the way into him. Like we're rebreathing each other's fucking air. You know what I'm saying? We're essentially like one creature having a bunch of different symbiotic experiences.
That's it.
Praise the Lord.
Did you take LSD before this meeting?
No, I had a bunch of coffee and I just read that and was like, and you guys also kind of got me woke on the pre-woke and then woke, and I was like, time to get woke.
I'm joking. That was amazing.
So now it's like
chaos.
Go for it.
Oh, I just want to give a shout out to Folsom State Prison. We somehow made it on prison TikTok.
Nice.
We're here for you. Thank you. We've been getting a lot of awesome comments from people. We've had over right.
Yeah, I actually just want to like say like 90% of the comments and the feedback that we get is like incredible. I can't even tell you the messages I get every fucking day from people. It's like so profound. And I'm really actually, I kind of want to just apologize for like focusing on the negative, but that's just what my disease does. It's fucked up. Like, thank you, everyone. Like, and also like, I'm so glad that you're getting something out of this, you know, like Sarah came from fucking Arizona just to be here. Wow. Just because she's like a fan of like what we're doing, you know, and there's so many other people out there that are like, their lives are starting to change and they're starting to value like transparency and humility and like vulnerability as a strength. Instead of like puffing your chest up and being a fucking vengeful fucking man.
Right.
Like, what is that? I was watching that Billie Eilish documentary last night, that song about I'm the bad guy. She's like, what's that? The lyrics is like, you puff up your chest, whatever the guy, whatever. You guys know that song? It's actually kind of a whack documentary. Her life is super boring.
And then a question for the group that we get on here, like we got a few of these questions here tonight, was how can I, so like someone in my life, I want them to be sober. What can I do for them?
That's the one I get the
Right.
most.
Pray.
That's the one I get the most.
Okay. Relinquish control and give it up to their higher power because there's nothing that's going to help them get sober unless they want to get sober.
Except setting clear boundaries and making sure you're not enabling them, which is something that I have a really hard time with because I love people and I don't know how to say that's not chill. I don't fuck with that. But if my friends didn't do that to me, I'd probably be dead. I had some music partner friends. Tim was one of them. And he said, nah, dude, like no more drooling what you're trying to produce when we bring the guy from Wu-Tang over. You embarrassed us. You're a fucking mess. And like this has to, I rolled the window up on Prodigal Son's hand. This like gnarly gangster from like Wu-Tang. Like, what do you like driving this fool around loaded? Like I crushed his hand in my window, just blacked out. He was bringing us to some label. I was a mess. And they cut me off. You have to cut people. You have to say, as long as you're living that way, like I'm not fucking with you anymore. That's all you can do. And hope they pray and hope they hit a bottom.
That's what it said in the book. Cut them off.
Yeah, go ahead. This is like the last 10 minutes of like crazy shit. Just talk.
My mom and I just talked about when she got sober. And basically, I had surgery about 5 years ago. And I had asked her, hey, can you pick me up from the hospital? And she said, no problem, honey. I gave her many weeks of notice. It lined up with her birthday. So she's, for clarification for everyone here, she was a meth addict. And she went out and partied the night before, right? Which was fine by me, whatever she wanted to do. Just pick me up in the morning, right? Like 9:45 at the hospital. Anyways, it's I think 9, and I hit her up to just make sure she's on her way. And then she calls me and she goes, hey, I'm going to sleep in, blah, blah, blah. And I go, okay. And I just hung up. And that was it for me. It was like, so she was up all night partying, on meth, and she needed to sleep, which makes sense. Like she's tired. Right. And so after that was my moment where I go, I'm not going to fuck with that anymore. Like, that's like, I gave her so much opportunity, and I held so much space for her to me and be in a vulnerable state. Right. I just came out of surgery and she was supposed to pick me up. So anyways, so my pops, who's always been my hero, just comes and swoops me up and takes care of me and does what he needs to do. Anyways, I had a complication from that surgery. I almost lost, I lost a fourth of my body's blood. I had a blood transfusion band on me, and like my mom heard about it, right? And so like she tries to desperately like show up, and I just didn't hold space for her. I didn't let her inside my house. She tried to drop off food. I threw it all in the trash, like all this stuff. So this is when she was using. So then what happened was I was talking to my aunt, who's one of my mentors, and she goes, why don't you write her a letter? I was like, all right. So I sat with that for a little bit, and then basically over 2 nights, like I wrote this letter, and I did in my meditation zone. I literally laid in my bathtub, wrote this letter to my mom, printed it out, put a stamp on it, and mailed it to her. And I'm not going to go into the whole letter, but basically I said, our relationship is no greater than what an acquaintance may be. And I sent it to her. And so about 6 months goes by, and I had to call her because of something. Anyways, the next week she calls me, and this is after 6 months of not talking to her, but she got my letter. She calls me up and she goes, Julian, whatever. And she goes, hey, I'm still using. And this is the first time she actually admitted to me that she was using without me confronting her, right? And I go, right, when's the last time you used? And she goes, last week, which was a lie. She had just used. And I said, cool. Let me figure this out. She basically asked for my help, and I was like, all right, well, let me figure it out. Let me call you back. So I called up a friend from Awakenings, and I said, hey, can you talk to my mom and see if she's ready to be sober? And so long story short, she went to Awakenings, you sober. So anyways, to the point of what we're talking about, I drew boundaries. I was like, look, I can't have this in my life. She didn't show up for me to to come pick me up after I had surgery. So I drew that boundary. I wrote her a letter, and then I just let, my higher power do its thing. And eventually she called me 6 months later and goes, yo, I'm using it. I need your help. And that was it. So I'm Julian. Thank you.
My heart goes out, just a second, to the people that dealt with people like us, like our family members, our loved ones. It's fucking gnarly. I would suggest reading the chapter, if you have a big book, reading the chapter 2 Wives. And to go even further, there's a program for people like that called Al-Anon. You might want to check out. I got a buddy that's been checking out Al-Anon meetings on Zoom, and he's getting a lot out of it because his wife is kind of fucked up, So you could learn a lot. Just to answer that question of dealing with alcoholics, there's Al-Anon groups, and there's also that chapter 2 Wives that kind of goes into dealing with the alcoholic.
Yeah, I just wanted to piggyback off Brian, by the way. I just wanted to piggyback off of what you said. I found a lot of relativity, and that's why I enjoy this so much, is because sometimes you get insight into stuff that maybe we're doing wrong in life. And my father's a meth addict as well, and same thing, kind of just missed important moments throughout my life, and never really. He was on and off, you know what I mean? And to this day, I haven't actually spoken to my father for 7 years. And just hearing that kind of made me think that maybe I should reach out and see where he's at in life and give it another shot and try forgiveness. Because it's hard, it's scary, right? Like you have these like fears of disappointment, and it's easier to just write things off. But I just wanted to let you know that was really, that hit me.
Do you have page 97 in the little book there?
Page 97?
Yeah. I don't know if anyone's read this. It's in Working with Others. I just read it today and it tripped me out. It's the old school requirements for sponsorship and the level of shit they went that like a sponsor back in the day would go through.
Yeah, page 97.
It's next level. You want to read it?
Never avoid these responsibilities, but be sure you are doing the right thing if you assume them. Helping others is the foundation stone of your recovery. A kindly act once in a while isn't enough. You have to act the good Samaritan every day, if need be. It may mean the loss of many nights' sleep, great interference with your pleasures, interruptions to your business. It may mean sharing your money and your home, counseling frantic wives and relatives, innumerable trips to police courts, sanitariums, hospitals, jails, and asylums. Your telephone may jangle at any time of the day or night. Your wife may sometimes say she is neglected. A drunk may smash the furniture in your home or burn a mattress. You may have to fight with him if he is violent.
Damn.
Sometimes you will have to call a doctor and administer sedatives under his direction. Another time you may have to send for the police or an ambulance. Occasionally you will have to meet such occasions.
Right there. Occasionally you have to meet those conditions. Like
Yeah.
That's what they used to do back in the day. That's how much they loved each other.
Yeah.
You might have to fight with him. Like what? Like
I've choked a few sponsees.
No, for real?
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
It's whiffed with me. No.
You
gotta, they get
What?
crazy.
How much time do we have?
It's 9.
Okay, William, would you take us out with the Lord's Prayer, please?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh.
Thanks for your sharing.
No, thanks.
I looked at the mail away.
Did you?
Yeah.
Our Father,
Our
Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. Amen.
Yeah, it was a few years ago.
I think they had
It's nuts.
No, it's what was that?
Yeah, this one's by it's like hardcore. It's kind of the same thing as yeah. I'm a recovering my leg too. Yeah. So it's, I know.
Why?
You literally gotta be resistant.
It was the same thing.
Right. How's she doing now?
You gotta have
You know,
this in
it's
front of
so-
us in the week, so you
39.
can-
So,
You started when you were 16, right? And then meth was seen in the 90s. Okay. So it's been a long. She's had an addiction for over 30 years, right? And so when you kick that addiction, it's it's all the things that you haven't paid attention to your whole life. So the tough part is she's a 52-year-old woman in the mindset of probably an 18, 19-year-old. Right, and so there's concepts and challenges that she has that it's just a struggle, right? She just struggles because conceptually she doesn't understand certain things.
Emotionally involved.
Right, 100%. I'm like,
brain got stuck the first time she did. I mean, you know, like this is science too. The brain. I don't know for women and men if it's the same, but
I'm sure it is.
women, I think the brain doesn't stop growing until you're like 24.
Right.
So you still got cells to like expand.
Right.
RAM to get
Right.
So if you shrink it and stop the development of like. Also, there's certain rote bullshit.
Simple bullshit.
You know, like I'm now like what's up, homie? How you doing, homie?
So dog.
You're just trying to be like in between.